The soft glow of fairy lights wrapped around the living room as Ethan adjusted the camera on the tripod. Tonight was special. He and Khloe were filming a TikTok video to celebrate their third wedding anniversary. Khloe sat on the couch in a pastel silk dress, her smile dazzling for the camera as if she had been waiting her whole life for this moment. To anyone watching, they were the perfect couple, playful, affectionate, a picture of happiness. Ethan leaned in to kiss her temple as the camera rolled, the gesture tender and natural. Their followers flooded the livestream with heart emojis and sweet comments, praising their love story. For a brief moment, Ethan let himself believe in the illusion, that the warmth in Khloe's eyes was real, that the laughter they shared wasn't rehearsed. Then, as he scrolled through the comments to thank their viewers, his breath caught in his throat. Among the cheerful messages was one that froze the blood in his veins. "Isn't this your wife with someone else?" Attached was a grainy but unmistakable photo, Khloe wrapped in the arms of another man, both caught in an intimate pose that left little room for doubt. Ethan's heart pounded as he enlarged the photo, searching for a mistake, an explanation, anything. But the truth stabbed him when he noticed the necklace dangling against her collarbone. It was the delicate silver chain he had given her for their second anniversary, the one she had claimed to have lost just a week ago. His smile remained fixed for the camera, but inside, his world had begun to crack. The anniversary celebration continued as if nothing had happened, yet the perfect facade had shattered in Ethan's heart. Ethan's smile never faltered during the rest of the recording. The candlelight dinner that followed was almost surreal. Khloe laughed softly at his jokes, poured him a glass of red wine, and leaned against his shoulder as if nothing could ever come between them. But beneath the warm glow of the candles, Ethan's thoughts churned like a storm. Every glance at her felt like a test of his composure. He could hear his own heartbeat over the soft clinking of cutlery. Later that night, as Khloe hummed a tune while showering, Ethan sat silently on the edge of the bed. His eyes drifted to her phone lying unattended on the nightstand, screen dimmed but still pulsing faintly with incoming notifications. His fingers tightened around the blanket. For 3 years he had trusted her completely, he had never once questioned her loyalty. But the photo from the livestream comment refused to leave his mind. With trembling hands, he reached for the phone. The screen lit up at his touch, unlocking with the same passcode he had known for years. He hesitated for only a heartbeat before opening her messages. What he found hollowed him out. Dozens of threads with one name stood out, Julian D. The messages were flirtatious, teasing, intimate in a way that pierced Ethan like a blade. Scrolling further back, his chest tightened as he read them, mockingly discussing him. "He's so easy to fool. The perfect, boring husband." Another message from Khloe made his vision blur. "He still thinks I lost the necklace. I wore it for you tonight." Each text was a new betrayal. He felt the weight of 3 months' worth of deceit pressing on his chest as the truth unfolded before him. Khloe hadn't just slipped into an affair, she had mocked the man who had loved her with everything he had. The sound of the shower shutting off jolted Ethan back to the moment. He quickly locked the phone and placed it exactly where it had been, pulling the blanket over himself to hide the shaking in his hands. When Khloe emerged, wrapped in a robe and smiling as if the world were whole, Ethan met her gaze with practiced calm. "Long day," he murmured, forcing a yawn. She chuckled and slipped into bed beside him, unaware that the illusion of their marriage had already begun to crumble in his heart. Sleep evaded Ethan that night. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word from the messages. The tenderness he once felt for Khloe was now tainted by a cold, gnawing suspicion. What if the affair was only part of something far worse? The next day, when Khloe left for her usual yoga class, Ethan seized the chance to investigate further. He logged into their shared bank account on his laptop, something he rarely did since Khloe had always managed the household finances. As the page loaded, his stomach dropped. Several large withdrawals, tens of thousands of dollars, had been made over the past few weeks, transferred to an unfamiliar private account. His pulse quickened as he clicked through the records. Jewelry he had bought for her over the years, necklaces, bracelets, even the gold earrings he had saved up for on their first anniversary, had been sold discreetly at a local pawn shop. The betrayal of her selling the symbols of their marriage cut deeper than any insult. Still not satisfied, Ethan dug into her emails. There, buried beneath promotional ads and social updates, he found the smoking gun, an exchange of emails between Khloe and Julian. They were discussing the timeline of a divorce, one that would make Ethan look like the guilty party. The words burned in his mind: if we push for emotional distress and claim infidelity on his side, I can take most of the assets, Khloe had written. Julian's reply was even colder: good. Once you get your share, transfer it to the trust fund I set up. We'll be untouchable. The realization hit Ethan like a blow. This wasn't just an affair, it was a calculated scheme to strip him of everything he had built. For a long moment, he sat in silence, the weight of their deceit pressing down on him. Then his expression hardened. He copied the emails, bank statements, and pawnshop receipts, storing them on a private drive. The hurt inside him began to cool, crystallizing into something sharper: resolve. That evening, Khloe returned home with her usual bright smile, greeting him with a kiss as if nothing had changed. Ethan returned her smile, the perfect mask of a devoted husband, hiding the storm that now brewed beneath his calm exterior. Ethan knew that anger alone would not bring justice. If he was going to dismantle the lies surrounding him, he needed more than just stolen text messages. 2 days after discovering the emails, he contacted a private investigator named Marcus, a sharp-eyed man with a reputation for uncovering the darkest secrets of the wealthy. Marcus worked quickly. Within a week, Ethan had a thick envelope filled with photographs: Khloe and Julian slipping into a 5-star hotel under the cover of night, dining together in an upscale restaurant, even sharing a kiss in the back seat of Julian's black sedan. The investigator also handed over hotel receipts and screenshots of Julian's private messages obtained through discreet channels. But what shocked Ethan most wasn't Khloe's betrayal, it was Julian's history. Marcus's report revealed that Julian was the CEO of an investment fund already under quiet investigation for financial fraud. He had been accused of laundering money through shell companies and hiding assets overseas to evade taxes. There were whispers of bribery and embezzlement buried beneath layers of offshore accounts. Julian's personal life was just as tarnished. He had been married once, but his ex-wife divorced him after catching him cheating with multiple women, one of them a client's spouse. The picture Marcus painted was clear: Julian was a man who thrived on deceit and manipulation, destroying lives for profit and pleasure. Reading the report, Ethan felt a cold satisfaction settling in his chest. He finally understood the kind of man Khloe had chosen over him. Yet outwardly, he remained the same devoted husband. He brought her flowers on Fridays, cooked her favorite pasta on Sundays, and asked about her yoga classes with genuine interest. Behind the mask, Ethan was laying his trap. He organized the evidence into folders: bank transfers, hotel bills, intimate photos, Julian's fraudulent dealings, everything he would need to expose them both. He also reached out discreetly to a lawyer, preparing for a legal battle that would strip Khloe of any advantage. Every smile he gave her at dinner, every affectionate touch, was now part of the performance. Ethan knew that the moment to strike hadn't yet arrived. For now, he had to let the charade play out, until he could end it on his own terms. The evening air was heavy with the scent of rain as Ethan parked his car across the street from the opulent 5-star hotel. He had followed Khloe's sleek white sedan from their home under the pretense of running errands, keeping a safe distance as she sped through the city. Her late-night spa appointment had sounded suspicious from the start, and now Ethan's pulse hammered in his ears as he watched her step gracefully out of the car, dressed far too elegantly for a spa visit. He waited 10 minutes before entering the hotel, his hood pulled up to shadow his face. Marcus had already tipped him off about the suite number, Julian's preferred hideout for their secret rendezvous. The receptionist didn't question Ethan's presence. He strode past with the confident air of a guest and took the elevator to the top floor. At the suite door, Ethan's breath slowed. From inside came muffled laughter, the low hum of music, and the unmistakable rustle of sheets. He unlocked the recording app on his phone, pressed record, and with a quiet push, opened the door. The scene that greeted him froze time itself. Khloe, wrapped in hotel sheets, her hair tousled, Julian reclining against the pillows with a glass of wine, his shirt unbuttoned and a smug grin plastered across his face. Well, Julian drawled, not a hint of shame in his tone. Looks like the perfect husband finally decided to join us. Khloe's face drained of color as she scrambled to pull the sheets around herself. Ethan, this isn't what it looks like, spare me the cliches, Ethan said evenly, his voice devoid of the hurt burning in his chest. Julian chuckled darkly. You really believed she married you for love? She only stayed because of your money and your nice little house. You've always been too boring, too easy to fool. Khloe gasped, Julian, stop, but it was too late. Ethan's phone captured every word, the contempt, the mockery, the confession of betrayal. He let the silence stretch before replying, his voice calm but edged with steel. Thank you. That's all I needed to hear. As realization dawned on them, both Julian and Khloe went pale. The smugness faded from Julian's face, replaced by a flicker of unease. Ethan slipped the phone into his pocket and turned to leave, his final words cutting through the thick tension, "You'll regret underestimating me." 2 days after the hotel confrontation, Ethan sat in his office, the morning sun slicing through the blinds and casting harsh stripes of light across the polished mahogany desk. In front of him lay a thick folder, photographs of Khloe and Julian, bank transfer receipts, pawnshop records, and the recording from that unforgettable night. Khloe came home that evening, acting as though nothing had happened, but Ethan was ready. When she entered the living room, he was waiting with the folder in his lap. We need to talk, he said quietly, his tone flat and devoid of warmth. Khloe hesitated at the door, the smile faltering on her lips. What's this about? Without a word, Ethan opened the folder and spread the evidence on the coffee table, the hotel photos, the receipts, and a USB drive containing the damning audio recording. Her eyes widened, panic flashing across her face as she recognized each piece of proof. I know everything, Ethan said, his voice cold. The affair, the stolen money, the plan to ruin me for my assets. I've been patient, long enough for you both to incriminate yourselves. Khloe tried to speak, her voice shaking. Ethan, please, it's not what you think, save it, he cut her off sharply. I also know Julian's history, the fraud, the laundering, the tax evasion. I have everything I need to bury you both. That same night, Ethan met with his lawyer and Marcus, the private investigator, to finalize the case file. The next morning, a sealed envelope containing all the evidence was delivered to the police department's Financial Crimes Division, with another sent directly to the National Securities and Exchange Commission. News broke within 48 hours. Headlines spread across the internet. Prominent fund manager investigated for financial fraud, allegations of money laundering rock high-profile investment firm. Julian's empire began to crumble overnight as regulators froze his accounts pending investigation. Meanwhile, Khloe's name surfaced in connection with the illicit transfers, painting her as complicit in her lover's schemes. For the first time in months, Ethan felt a sense of control return. He hadn't raised his voice or his fists, he had simply let the truth speak louder than any revenge could. The stage was now set for the downfall of the two people who had underestimated him most. The storm finally broke one gray morning when Julian was escorted out of his luxury penthouse in handcuffs, cameras flashing as the news broadcasted his fall from grace. The headlines were relentless: investment tycoon arrested for fraud and money laundering. Overnight, his bank accounts were frozen, his offshore holdings seized, and his reputation torn to shreds. The man who had once smirked at Ethan from silk sheets now wore the grim expression of a criminal facing decades behind bars. Khloe watched it all unfold from the living room of the house she had once ruled like a queen. Her phone buzzed with messages from friends and tabloids, all demanding to know her side of the scandal. She ignored them, clutching a crumpled tissue in trembling hands. For the first time, the mask she had worn so flawlessly began to crack. Ethan stood by the window, his arms crossed, his voice calm when he finally spoke. "You traded everything for a man who was already rotting underneath his charm. Now you've lost it all." Tears welled in Khloe's eyes as she dropped to her knees in front of him. "Ethan, I made a mistake. I thought I knew what I wanted, but I was wrong. Please, forgive me. We can fix this, start over." He regarded her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then, with a quiet finality, he shook his head. "You didn't just betray me, Khloe. You mocked me. You plotted to destroy me. This isn't something we can fix." Her sobs filled the silence between them, but Ethan's resolve remained unshaken. "I won't hurt you," he continued, his voice colder now. "I won't even raise a hand against you. But I also won't save you. You'll live with the ruins you'd built for yourself, and that will be punishment enough." Khloe collapsed onto the floor, her tears soaking the carpet, as the reality of her downfall settled in. For Ethan, the victory was bittersweet. He hadn't sought blood or violence. His revenge was to let them suffer in the very lives they had chosen, stripped of their illusions, wealth, and power. It was justice delivered not with fury, but with quiet, devastating precision. Weeks passed, and the chaos that had once consumed Ethan's life began to settle into a strange, quiet order. Julian's trial dominated the news cycle, every sordid detail of his crimes laid bare for the public to see. Former business partners testified against him, revealing how he had manipulated markets, laundered millions, and evaded taxes for years. The confident smile that had once defined Julian was gone, replaced by a hollow, defeated man in an orange jumpsuit. His empire was dismantled piece by piece, auctioned off to repay victims of his schemes. Khloe's downfall was no less public. With her name tied to Julian's fraudulent transfers, she became the subject of scorn and ridicule. Social media turned ruthless, painting her as a gold digger who had gambled everything for luxury and lost it all. Former friends avoided her, brands cut her off from sponsorships, and her face, once adored on TikTok for her perfect marriage, was now a meme symbolizing betrayal and greed. Ethan, meanwhile, rebuilt his life with quiet dignity. Free from the toxic marriage, he focused on his work and his own well-being. The media praised his composure and integrity in the face of public betrayal, calling him a man of restraint who chose justice over vengeance. For the first time in years, he could look at himself in the mirror without the weight of deception clouding his reflection. One evening, as he stood on the balcony of his apartment overlooking the city lights, Marcus joined him with a glass of whiskey. "You got your justice," the investigator said. Ethan gave a faint smile. Justice, and a lesson learned the hard way. Down the street, Khloe lived alone in a small rented flat, far from the glamorous life she once flaunted. She often scrolled through old photos of her and Ethan, tears streaking her face as she wondered how she had thrown away the one man who truly loved her. Julian sat in a prison cell, stripped of influence and wealth, left to confront the wreckage of his arrogance. Ethan's scars remained, but he walked away stronger, his name cleared, his honor restored. The story of their betrayal became a cautionary tale whispered in boardrooms and dinner parties alike. Greed and deception always carry a price too steep to pay.